Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Matt Storrs, and welcome to Mattsplaining. On today's episode, I have an expert on who I'm very excited to speak with. Expert, please introduce yourself and tell us what you're an expert in.
Hello, my name is Alyse McGuigan, and I am an expert on The Bachelor.
Fantastic. I am a recent convert to The Bachelor, and I think that it is an amazing social experiment that has fundamentally changed the ways in which people have dated in the
Mhm.
last 20 some odd years it's been on. And I think that one of the nice things about it is a lot of people don't know is all of the crew and staff that are on The Bachelor. It's the only show that they're allowed to work on for the entire year. So the
Mhm.
directors, the writers, the PAs, everything like that. This is the main thing. And each crew is assigned to one of the men or the women that are on the shows, and they have to follow them around all year to try and get that B-roll in anticipation that there might be something that they could use for the show. And so I think that that's pretty stressful for a lot of them. And I think that each bachelor, each bachelorette kind of comes in with their own ideas. A lot of people don't know this, but each bachelor and bachelorette come up with the ideas for the dates that they go on. So,
Mhm.
like the locales that they go to, whether it's Spain, whether it's Morocco, whether it's Montreal, whether wherever it might be, it's coming straight from the bachelor and they dictate where they go, what they do. So, like if a bachelor has a weird date where everybody shows up and they have to put on wedding dresses, but then they go paintballing afterwards. That could be something that they came up with themselves. But that's not to say that the staff doesn't come up and give suggestions too. So famously, there was the Dune buggy episode where everybody was given Dune buggies, but they weren't adequately trained about how the Dune buggies were going to run. So you have all these men and women driving around in the dunes. And unfortunately, some people did get lost, and some people
Mhm.
were out there for a number of days of Kramer crew. There's a lost documentary of the Bachelor participants and the camera crew being lost in the dunes for about 3 days, and hopefully
What?
they'll
I'm
release
sorry.
it.
What was that called? What's that documentary called?
So that documentary is A Dune for Love.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, so I
Mm.
believe that that might be one of the working titles. I might
Mm.
be confusing it with one of the old Shot at Loves and the VH1 dating shows. I
Mm.
might be conflating the two. That's the problem. They haven't released it. They haven't settled on the name. That might be the thing that's limiting them from
Ah.
releasing it. So yet to be determined, something we need to talk to the producers.
Mhm.
But I think that beyond the production side, I think that how it's influenced how people date is really interesting because people are dating more intentionally, trying to ascertain what their specific goals are beyond just, oh, I have an immediate connection with this person, but I'm still going to date 14 other people at the same time. And I think that that's a big change for our society, that intentionality when we are dating 14 people at once. And
Mhm.
I think everybody goes through the idea of what I would do if I was the bachelor, if I was the bachelorette. And I think what I have determined for myself, I am in a relationship and I love my partner very much. But if I was to be the bachelor, I think that it would be a lot of fun
Mhm.
because as I like to say it, and as some people have described me, I'm like a Muppet Dad. And so like or
Ah.
I give Muppet Dad energy. And
Mhm.
so that would probably lead to a lot of fun and zaniness, especially in the first episode, having to meet everybody. And then I would probably decide on the people that I had the best connection with. And so for the rest of the challenges, any group date would just be me volunteering and like taking the 14 women on like a Habitat for Humanity mission so that we could build a
Ah.
house. And I think that's
Mm.
one of the biggest things and missed opportunities about the Bachelor franchise is like you have a house full of, especially when it's the Bachelorette, a pretty in good shape people that have the
For sure.
capabilities. And you could do a lot of good for society in the areas of Southern California if you just volunteered at Habitat for Humanity for a little bit, or Soup Kitchen, or various other things. I'm sure there's many charities they could do. They could go and clean at somebody's house or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of things that could be done that would benefit society by having 15 bodies available at any given moment. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Alyse, based on what you've heard so far, about how much of that would you say was accurate?
I would say most of it was inaccurate.
Okay.
I would say, based on that description, I would not give you a rose.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I respect your decision and I wish you the
Mhm.
best.
Thank you.
When did you first start getting into The Bachelor?
I first started watching it. I actually watched the first season of The Bachelorette when I
Okay.
was like 12 or 13 because I saw there was I had not watched The Bachelor, but I saw everyone making a big deal about it being a woman was going to be the Bachelorette and it was the first season. So I watched it as a child, not really knowing what it was, but wanting to be a part of the zeitgeist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that there was a lot of, I want to say water cooler talk, but I don't know. Did you have a water cooler in your middle school, high school?
I did not. I don't think that I had any friends who watched it.
Oh
So,
no, that's so sad. Who were you
yeah.
watching with? Who are you discussing it with then?
I think maybe a cousin,
Okay.
not even my mom watched it yet. She watches it today, but I just was in my own little bachelorette bubble at that age.
That's well, I mean, it stuck with you then. What did you most like about it when you first watched it?
When I first watched it, I really bought into because I was a child. I really bought into the story of it that it is about finding true love, that it really is possible that in a group of 20 or 25 people, your partner is out there.
Right.
And the romance of it really spoke to me at that age. I was a fan of rom-coms and the setups of all of it, the romantic getaways, that kind of stuff was very appealing to me at the age of 12 or 13.
And do you feel that that kind of keeps you watching it today, or is there another reason that you enjoy it more so today?
It has definitely changed. I would say today I watch it more for the group dynamics of a bunch of people who decide to go on a dating show to find love, or really these days, more likely try to find an audience for the thing that they're trying to sell or
Okay.
for their own brand. A lot of influencers are on these days and they want to get a following, but I do also believe there are people there who are there for the right reasons, as is the
Right.
lingo.
Absolutely. Yeah. One I've recently started watching myself and the chyrons where they say what they do, it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
clear that some of them are like, "Oh, you own a vintage store?" Yeah, so like
Yes.
you have a lot of fun hats and you want to make sure you can sell those hats. And but then there's like folks that are like a radio chemist and I'm like, tell me more about the radio chemist. What's their life like? What are they doing? What science are they doing? And it's like maybe they're there for the right reasons. And I don't see, I mean, I'm sure there's radio chemists out there that have an Instagram and it's really popping off now because of the
Of
show.
course.
But
Yes. No disrespect to the radio chemists who
absolutely.
also have social media.
Absolutely amazing and super informative stuff, and we
Mm-hmm.
appreciate your
Mm-hmm.
work. So, have there been seasons that were particularly dramatic or that you particularly found like maybe challenging even to watch or something that you really enjoyed watching?
One of the ones that really sticks out is towards the end of the show, obviously, you get down to a final two,
Hmm.
and the bachelorette, whoever it is, has to pick between the two. And there was a season where the bachelor was choosing between these two women, and he chooses one at the end and he proposes to her. They're engaged. And then after the season is over, there's always an after the final rose special where they
Hmm.
interview the bachelor and his pick and some of the other women who were eliminated last. And they tell secrets. They say how they're feeling now. During this special, it came out that they were actually not doing well. The final couple, him and the
Hmm.
woman he chose, and he broke up with her basically on camera, and
Oh my
he
God.
the other woman, the runner up, was also in the audience because she was being interviewed. And he basically said, hey, I think I made the wrong choice. And I would actually really love to pursue a relationship with you. and
And she said no, right?
no, she said yes. She
Oh
said yes.
wow.
And she was like, yeah, let's talk. And guess what? They got
What?
married and they are still married today.
How many years ago was this?
That was a while ago. I want to say that was at least 10 years ago. They've been
Oh
married a
wow.
long time.
Oh wow. Well, like
Yeah.
that's not the outcome I was expecting from where
No.
that took a strangely positive turn. I like that.
Yes. Yes. I mean, not
Um,
for the woman who was dumped.
yeah, yeah, that's hopefully her love is out there. If
She,
she
yes, I
I'm
think
sure
she
she
did find love. And I
oh
think
good.
she was also on Dancing with the Stars at one point.
And
So
so
she's really is doing great.
yeah, and I mean you got the muscle strength, flexibility, and coordination that you get from Dancing with the Stars takes you throughout your life. So that's an
Mhm.
aspect that a lot of people don't think about with that show. Now, with The Bachelor, is there something that you wish you would have known before you started watching it?
I probably would have wished that I knew that the contestants are sometimes coached into being more dramatic or maybe sharing things that you wouldn't typically share with a stranger or someone that you've just met. But I know they really want the drama and the trauma in the show. So I do think this show is taped over the course of like maybe 6 weeks, and people really get to know each other fast. They are laying their hearts on the line very early on in the process because they want to be memorable. Sometimes I think they want sympathy because if you're really bearing your soul to someone, I don't think they're going to say, no, you don't get a rose. So I do love seeing the different tactics, even though I wish I knew that they were tactics early on when I was watching.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that one of the things that I have most recognized in my time watching it is the trauma dumping that seems to happen
Yeah.
so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
made me think like of times when I have been dating and like the timeline. If you took it out of the reality TV show dynamic, if somebody was trauma dumping like that on the fourth date that we've been on, like how would I react to that? Like some of these things
Mm-hmm.
are so intense.
Yep.
And it's and like just to think about like the difficulty of being the bachelorette in that situation of like the second week every single person that you're going to hang out with is going to tell you the worst thing that has ever happened to them
Yep.
and how emotionally taxing that is.
So emotional. And I think it is particularly difficult when it gets towards the end of the season and they start to go on their hometown dates. And
Hmm.
that is, of course, where the bachelor will visit. It's usually like four different
Hmm.
women. He'll go to their hometown, talk to their families, their siblings, whoever it is. Sometimes they have kids. And sometimes the family gets in on it too, where they're genuinely being like, yeah, she's had a hard life, or like she had this other breakup, really crushed her, please don't do that to her. And they kind of reiterate some of the trauma sometimes. And
Hmm.
of course, the bachelor's like, no, I won't do that. Of course, like I care about her so much. But ultimately, he's going to crush 3 out of 4 of these women by the
Right.
end.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's like there's maybe one winner, quote
Yes.
unquote, and that's everybody else is it's going to be a hard 6 weeks if not
Mm-hmm.
longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so are there particular things that you have really enjoyed?
If I can touch on the Golden Bachelor,
Oh yeah, please
um,
please go right ahead.
I have never had so many people in my life watching a season of The Bachelor than the Golden Bachelor that just aired last year. It was the first time they had a Golden Bachelor, and it really is in a league of its own, Bachelor
Okay,
wise.
so is pardon me, just a
Yeah,
quick note of clarification. So was this bachelor afflicted with the Midas disease where he couldn't touch anything lest it become gold?
close. He was 70 years old, making
Okay.
him golden as ever. And
Okay, I see.
the women he dated were also like in their 70s and 60s.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
sounds fascinating. How was that experience?
It was beautiful. Any cynicism that I have with the regular Bachelor and Bachelorette franchises disappeared with the Golden Bachelor. It was such a breath of fresh air to see people older than the typical the Bachelor and Bachelorette, like those groups of people are usually in their 20s. Like I'm
Right.
talking early 20s, they're maybe 30. They're a young crowd looking to get married. And the Golden Bachelor was so many of these people were widowed or had never found love and they were still hopeful at their age. A lot of them talk about how like the love of their life died and they're ready for a second chance. It was a very different version of the trauma dumping. It was more of them just sharing like this hardship and how difficult it is to start dating again when you've already had such a beautiful life with someone and had kids. But so
Right.
many of them were so optimistic that like their life isn't over, love isn't over for them. They can get back out there. And they were very inspiring and very fun and confident in a way that you do not see on The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds fascinating. If they're going to do a Golden Bachelorette.
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, they are. They announced, I think, just a couple weeks ago that a Golden Bachelorette will be happening, I think, later this year.
Oh, that's going to be fascinating. That's intriguing. That's very intriguing. Thank you so much for joining me. If people wanted to learn more about you or more about The Bachelor, Bachelorette, where would you recommend they go?
For The Bachelor, Bachelorette, if you're going to watch any season, just go watch The Golden Bachelor to start and dip your
Okay.
foot in. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu. And then look out for The Golden Bachelorette starting later this year.
Okay.
And for me, yeah, I'm a writer and comedian. I live in LA now. I'm kind of on social media at Alyse McG. So you can try to find me there or in LA, maybe watching The Bachelor somewhere.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really feel like I learned a lot and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you listening. And for that, I would give you a rose.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I will accept. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Matt Storrs, and this has been Mattsplaining. Before we go today, I want to thank Ryan Lawson, my dear friend and all-around okay guy, for making the theme music for Mattsplaining. And if anyone needs music production or mixing services for any of their projects, Ryan can be reached at beatblenderstudios@gmail.com or at Beat Blender Studios on Instagram and TikTok.